Are you thinking about hiring a real estate agent to help you buy a home or sell a home, but you're kind of unsure if you're going to be hiring the right person to get the job done for you? Hey everybody, I'm Chris Moscarino, the CEO of the Moscarino Group at Keller Williams Elevate here in Strongsville, Ohio. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. So today we're going to talk about some ways to avoid hiring the wrong agent or hiring a bad agent, and what questions you should be asking and things to look out for. So thanks for joining us. Let's jump in to today's episode. My name is Chris Moscarino. I, along with my wife, are the co-founders of the Moscarino Group with Keller Williams Elevate here in Strongsville. Been in business for just over 7 years now, and collectively we've sold over 500 homes, and we continue to grow every single year, and we love doing what we do. Today, we're going to talk about how to avoid hiring a bad real estate agent. It happens more than people might think. And the reason I think they get into this situation is because they want to use a family member or a friend of theirs, or they were referred to somebody that a friend or family member knows. And then they don't do the research to see if they're qualified to sell their house or help them purchase a home. Just because somebody has a real estate license doesn't mean they are an expert in the field. We run into it all the time where we're on the other end of the deal working with somebody that is so inexperienced, doesn't know how to communicate, doesn't know how to negotiate the contracts or the deals, and it gets very frustrating, and it actually makes the whole process a lot more complicated than it needs to be.
I think there's some agents that don't even know how to read the actual contracts because they don't look at them enough. And that's something people don't think about, is if you're using an agent who you know very well, might be an awesome friend of yours, but only sells real estate, on the side as a side gig. If they're not looking at contracts or negotiating deals on the regular basis, this market especially, they probably don't know what all the terms on a contract means. They probably don't know how to negotiate those terms correctly, especially if you're listing their house. If you're selling your house with an inexperienced agent, and let's say your house gets 10 plus offers on it, I am pretty confident that a lot of those offers that are coming in, an inexperienced agent might not even know how to read the terms of those offers. And we've had those situations happen.
Which means you could be leaving thousands and thousands of dollars on the table.
You could not be taking the best deal for you, whether it's money or whether it's a term that would have been better for your situation. And that's another thing. Inexperienced agents are probably not even taking the time to understand what's most important to you, because a lot of agents just think like, we just want to get the highest price. And sometimes price isn't the most important thing. Sometimes it's, hey, I need at least 60 extra days in my house to be able to move to a different state. Or, hey, I don't want to go through a grueling inspection process. Or there might be some other things that are more important to you than price, and your agent's not taking the time to even understand that. And when you have a listing, it's important that your listing agent knows that, hey, my listing is going live during this week and you're going to be on during that week, meaning
you're going to be available.
You're going to be available. So I can't tell you how many times I have a buyer that wants to put an offer in on a home, and this home might be, might have 10 plus offers, and I have an agent who will not pick up the phone and answer their phone. And you're losing deals that way. You're losing offers on your home because your agent is not available to pick up the phone, and they'll shoot a text back.
I have an example of that right now. I literally have called this agent 3 times in the last 2 days. I've texted her 3 times, and I have not gotten a single response.
She's selling someone's home.
And she's selling a home. And my clients want to put an offer in on this home, and we're not doing it until we can talk to the agent. So my clients right now are in the position where they're like, well, if this agent's not getting back to you, then we don't know if we even want to work with her and purchase this home. Let's move on to the next.
And if you're selling your biggest asset with someone who cannot pick up the phone to negotiate your deal, is that really the right kind of agent? And sadly, there's so many agents like this. So it's not hard to become a real estate agent. I wish they would make it a little more difficult. And there's too many real estate agents that just want to do it on the side.
And I think it's because they think they can get a listing, they can put it on the MLS, and it's just going to sell. And there's so much more to it than that.
Absolutely.
And the communication level and the relationships, we've talked about relationships in the past, the relationships you build with other agents in the area is going to help you and your client in the long run. So it's super important to pick up the phone. And that's a question I would be asking. If you're going to hire an agent, I would ask, how are they planning on communicating with other agents?
Yep.
And I would have them show you proof of that. Like, we have countless numbers of phone messages, calls to people, calls to the agents that we're physically picking the phone up versus texting. How many times do we go into negotiations with an agent and they say, I can't talk, just please text?
And you can't negotiate a deal through text messages. No matter how much I want to, believe me, I do not like picking up the phone either. Text message is my love language as far as communicating. But when I have a listing or when I have a buyer, I pick up the phone because it's easier to have a conversation. How am I going to build a relationship with that agent on the other end by just shooting a text message? And as much as you don't understand, it is important for us to build relationships agent to agent, because that's what's going to make a smooth transaction happen. That's going to be two people that want the similar goal as you, which is to get it to the closing table with the same term.
And that's a question I would ask. How do you plan on playing with the other agents? Because if you have an agent that you're hiring that's going to be super difficult, how is that transaction going to go for you, whether you're on the sell side or buy side?
Yeah.
The goal is for all of us to work together to make the process as smooth as possible for both buyer and seller, and make it a win-win situation for everybody involved. Buyer, seller, agents, title, lender, and everything in between.
There's so many agents right now that, unfortunately, it's mainly agents that are just doing it on the side, that aren't full-time. And there's some agents that, are working towards doing it full-time, and I think that's a little bit of a different story. Or if they're on a team, because if they're on a team, you know that they have some leverage and they have somebody that's hopefully coaching them through the transaction. There's a lot of terms that most people, unless you're in the industry, aren't familiar with. So like an escalation clause. An escalation clause is a way to submit an offer. And I can tell you right now that there's a lot of agents on the listing side that don't even know what an escalation clause is. So you may not be getting the highest offer for your home if your agent doesn't know what some of these different terms are.
So we just submitted an offer for a house, and I was on the phone with the agent after many attempts to get a hold of him over the course of probably 36 hours. Finally got him on the phone. He didn't communicate to me when the deadline was. He did finally tell me we were in multiples, that he sent out a notification. I never received it. He then started explaining to me that he had an offer that had no inspection, had appraisal gaps, and was up to a certain price point. I said, well, that sounds a lot like our offer. I go, are you familiar with the terms of our offer? And he's like, oh, well, yeah. And he started stumbling. He didn't even know what to say. And I mentioned to him, did you see the escalation clause that I put in our
summary?
Yeah, our offer summary. And our escalation clause went higher than what he was even telling me on the phone.
And there was no inspection.
And we had no inspection. And we had an appraisal gap. So we had a super strong offer. And we got a text message an hour later saying they wouldn't move forward with another offer. Now, maybe it was better. I don't know. But there was zero communication. So it was hard for me to know.
Not to mention his clients would have gone higher. And they said that. They said, well, if it comes down to it, we will go higher. So please let us know. And he communicated that to the agent and said, they really want this house. So if this is not going to get it done, make sure you call me back because my clients would be willing to.
I actually said, should I change it now before the deadline?
And he said there's no need.
And he said, no need. I will call you after I talk with my client.
So he could have got his clients more money.
Yeah. And he just failed to, he failed to communicate. So this is a passion of ours. Like, we love helping buyers and sellers. We want to make sure they're doing the best thing for themselves, getting the best price, getting the best terms. Do your homework of who you're hiring. Don't just hire to hire. Hire because they have your best interest in mind and that they're going to do the best thing for you, not for them and what's easy for them.
Absolutely. And we know what it takes when you have a listing. We know the time commitment we have a process for our listings. Our listings go live on a certain day and we hope to have a decision by a certain day. So we don't just throw it on the MLS any day. We have an actual process. But we know during that time, we're going to be answering a lot of phone calls. We're going to be talking to our client very often. We just know we're going to be on. No matter if we have graduation parties or weddings to attend or baseball games to go to, we know during those things, unfortunately, we're going to have to answer phone calls because we've made a commitment to our seller to sell sell their home and get them the best deal ever. I can't tell you how many times, I have a buyer interested in a home and the listing agent's like, well, I'm traveling, so I'm not gonna be able to talk till such and such time.
Which could be a day later.
When I'm selling a home, my number one priority is to talk to every single buyer agent that has shown interest into this home, because you never know if a buyer says, you know what, I'm not gonna wait a whole day to hear from them. I'm gonna pull my offer, or, you just don't know. And I would hate to be the reason that an offer got pulled on one of my listing of mine because I didn't have the time to talk to them. When I make a commitment to list someone's home, I'm making that commitment to literally be on no matter what I have going on for that amount of time. And if I can't, that's why we have a team and we have people that will stand in for us during that time.
With all this being said, there's a lot of questions you should be asking. Track record, list to sales price, how long have they been doing this? How many homes have they sold in the last 12 months? What's their process? How do they communicate is a huge one.
Do they have a process?
Yes. Do they have a process? And ultimately, in the end, I think you got to trust your gut as well. Do you feel like they're the right fit for you? Do you feel like they're going to do the best job for you and get you the most money and negotiate on your behalf? Negotiations are challenging. They're not always the same. It's not just let's see who throws the highest number out. You need to know how to talk around certain terms.
It's negotiating during the entire process. So I know when I have a listing, if I have buyer agents that are calling me, let's say on Friday, I know Saturday, I'm going to continue to stay in touch with those buyer agents so that I don't lose them. So that's part of the process. I don't just hear from a buyer's agent and say, offers are due on Sunday, and then I don't talk to that agent until Sunday. I'm kind of talking to them throughout the entire weekend so that I keep them interested. So I keep them hooked so they know, hey, you're in the running. Maybe if you add an appraisal gap, it'll get you a little closer so that when it comes to Sunday, I have all the highest and best offers. And that's because I've communicated with these agents through the whole weekend. I'm not just saying, hey, call me on Sunday night. That's when we're making our decision. And one other point that I will make is I hear very, very often, I'll hear someone say, oh, I got to use my uncle, or, family parties will be real awkward if I don't. Do not feel bad telling somebody that you're deciding to use another agent based on, just some things that you feel like they're going to be doing a little better. Or, hey, Uncle Charlie, this isn't your full-time gig. I think because my house is my biggest asset, I'm going to use this full-time agent who does this day in and day out so that they can just solely focus on my house. Do not feel bad. This is your biggest asset. You wouldn't go to a doctor just because they're your uncle and they see, a couple patients a month. You want to go to a doctor that's reputable, right? It's the same thing for real estate.
Yeah, and to play on that a little further, you wouldn't go to a doctor that's going to perform surgery and they've only performed that surgery once or twice in the last 12 months, right? You're going to want to work with somebody that's been performing that surgery
day in and day out.
every single day, okay?
They're up on the list.
And although this isn't surgery, it's financial surgery, all right?
It really is.
This is your biggest investment, and you're going to put it in the hands of somebody that does this as a side hustle. Doesn't make sense to me. So do your research, do your homework. We're here to help. We would love to talk to you. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, I think you got to go with what feels best for you and makes the most sense for you.
So now you know how to avoid a bad real estate agent. Stay tuned for our next video.